The air on the distant, rocky planet was thick with tension as two warriors stood facing each other, their auras flaring like violent storms. Vegeta, the Saiyan prince, smirked as his golden hair spiked upward, crackling with energy. Across from him, Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, roared with unrestrained fury, his muscles bulging under the strain of his overwhelming power. The ground beneath them trembled as their ki clashed, sending shockwaves through the barren landscape. Vegeta had come to this desolate world for one purpose: to test his limits against the infamous Broly. Rumors of the Berserker's strength had reached him, tales of how Broly had crushed even Goku in battle. Pride burned in Vegeta's chest, he refused to be outdone. "You think raw power alone makes you superior?" Vegeta taunted, his voice dripping with arrogance. "I'll show you what true strength looks like." Broly responded with a guttural growl, his emerald aura exploding outward as he lunged forward. His fist rocketed toward Vegeta's face, but the prince twisted aside at the last second, countering with a brutal knee to Broly's ribs. The impact sent shockwaves through the air, yet Broly barely flinched, retaliating with a backhand that sent Vegeta skidding across the ground. Regaining his footing, Vegeta wiped a trickle of blood from his lip. "Not bad," he admitted, his smirk widening. "But I've only been toying with you." With a sudden burst of energy, his aura intensified, his muscles tightening as electricity arced around his body. His hair lifted higher, his pupils vanishing as he ascended to Super Saiyan 2. The sheer force of his transformation sent a shockwave that cracked the earth beneath him. Broly hesitated for the first time, sensing the shift in power. But his rage quickly overrode caution. With a deafening scream, he unleashed a barrage of ki blasts, each one capable of leveling mountains. Vegeta weaved through them effortlessly, his movements a blur. Then, in an instant, he vanished. Broly's eyes widened as Vegeta reappeared behind him, driving an elbow into his spine. The force of the blow sent Broly crashing into the ground, carving a deep crater. Before Broly could recover, Vegeta was already upon him, his fists a storm of relentless strikes. Each punch landed with devastating precision, cracking bones and rupturing the earth beneath them. Broly roared in pain and fury, his body struggling to keep up. With a final, earth-shattering uppercut, Vegeta sent him flying into the sky. Vegeta hovered above, his fists crackling with energy. "This ends now," he declared. Gathering his ki, he formed a massive blue sphere, the Gallic Gun. The attack surged forward like a comet, engulfing Broly in a blinding explosion. The shockwave scattered the clouds, leaving only silence in its wake. As the smoke cleared, Vegeta descended, his breathing steady. Broly lay motionless, his Super Saiyan form flickering out. The prince smirked. "Pathetic. And here I thought you'd put up a real fight." But as he turned to leave, the ground trembled. A low growl echoed behind him. Vegeta's eyes narrowed as he glanced back. Broly was rising, his body trembling with something far darker than rage. The battle was far from over. The battlefield trembled as Vegeta's golden aura erupted, his hair spiking higher with crackling electricity. Super Saiyan 2. Broly, still in his hulking Super Saiyan form, roared in defiance, his muscles bulging as he charged forward with reckless fury. Vegeta smirked, sidestepping the brute's wild swing before driving his knee into Broly's gut, sending him skidding back through the rubble. "Pathetic," Vegeta spat. "You're nothing but a mindless beast." But before he could press his advantage, the ground split open beneath them, a shockwave rippling through the landscape. From the fissure, a sinister laugh echoed, one Vegeta recognized instantly. Frieza. The tyrant floated upward, his golden form gleaming under the twin suns. "How delightful," Frieza purred. "The prince of all Saiyans, finally achieving a power worth my attention. And Broly? What a fascinating specimen." Goku, panting from his earlier fight, landed beside Vegeta, his eyes wide. "Frieza? What's he doing here?" Vegeta clenched his fists. He must have sensed Broly's energy and come to exploit it. Frieza's grin widened. "Oh, I came for both of you. Imagine the irony, the last Saiyans, tearing each other apart while I watch." Broly, still disoriented, turned his rage toward Frieza, unleashing a massive energy blast. Frieza dodged effortlessly, retaliating with a death beam that grazed Broly's shoulder. The wound only enraged him further. Vegeta saw an opening. "Kakarot, we take them both down, now." Goku hesitated. "But Broly's not in control." "Maybe we can, no time," Vegeta snapped, already vanishing in a burst of speed. The battle became a chaotic storm of energy. Vegeta and Goku fought in tandem, their movements synced from years of rivalry. Goku used instant transmission to flank Frieza, landing a crushing elbow to his spine, while Vegeta hammered Broly with a rapid-fire Gallic gun barrage. But Broly adapted, his body absorbing the blows as his power surged. Frieza, recovering, fired a Nova Strike at Goku, forcing him to block with a Kamehameha. The explosion sent shockwaves through the canyon, collapsing cliffs around them. Then, the unthinkable happened. Broly's eyes locked onto Vegeta, but instead of attacking, he smiled. A twisted, knowing grin. His voice, usually guttural, came out eerily calm. "You fear him." Vegeta froze. "What?" Broly pointed at Frieza. "He hurt you. Long ago." A flicker of memory, planet Vegeta's destruction, flashed in Vegeta's mind. Broly's body began to change, his green aura flaring with newfound clarity. Frieza, sensing danger, unleashed a supernova-like sphere. Enough of this. The attack hurtled toward Broly, but the berserker didn't dodge. Instead, he caught it, his hands straining as he absorbed the energy into his own body. His muscles expanded, his hair lengthening, legendary Super Saiyan, evolving. Goku gasped. He's using Frieza's attack to power up. Vegeta cursed. "We're out of options." Frieza, now pale, backed away. This wasn't part of the plan. Broly turned to him, eyes burning with vengeance. "You die first." As Broly lunged, Vegeta and Goku exchanged a glance. For once, they agreed, Frieza couldn't be allowed to escape, but Broly was now an even greater threat. Goku clenched his fists. "We need to work together, Vegeta." "Full power." Vegeta growled but nodded. "Fine. But don't hold back." Their auras flared in unison, the ground quaking as they charged. The final clash was about to begin. The air crackled with energy as Vegeta's golden aura erupted into a storm of lightning, his hair spiking higher than ever before. Super Saiyan 2. A grin twisted his lips as he locked eyes with Broly, who roared in response, his massive frame surging with primal power. The battlefield was already scarred from their earlier clash, but now, the stakes were higher. "This ends now," Vegeta growled, his voice laced with venom. He lunged, a blur of speed, and drove his fist into Broly's gut with a thunderous impact. The legendary Saiyan staggered, coughing blood, but his eyes burned with unyielding fury. Broly retaliated with a wild haymaker, but Vegeta dodged effortlessly, countering with a devastating knee to his ribs. Bones cracked, but Broly barely flinched, his body adapting, healing. "Pathetic," Vegeta sneered, landing a flurry of punches that sent Broly skidding across the ruined earth. The other Z-fighters watched in stunned silence, Goku, Gohan, even Piccolo, all realizing Vegeta had reached a level beyond them. For a moment, it seemed victory was assured. Then, the twist came. As Vegeta reared back for a final blow, Broly's body convulsed. His muscles bulged grotesquely, his aura flaring from green to a sickening crimson. His scream wasn't of pain, but of something darker, unleashed. The ground quaked as his power skyrocketed, his eyes glazing over with something inhuman. "What is this?" Vegeta hissed, instinctively backing away. Broly's form twisted, his skin cracking like molten rock, his energy so dense it warped the air. Goku's voice cut through the chaos. "He's not just a legendary Super Saiyan, he's evolving." The realization hit Vegeta like a physical blow. Broly wasn't just strong, he was mutating, absorbing their energy, adapting to their techniques. A cold dread settled in Vegeta's chest. He had pushed Broly beyond his limits, and now the monster was rewriting them. Broly moved. One moment he was there, the next, Vegeta was airborne, his vision blurring from a punch he never saw coming. He crashed through a cliffside, pain exploding through his body. Before he could recover, Broly was on him, hammering him into the ground with berserk fury. Vegeta blocked desperately, but each strike shattered his guard, his arms going numb. Blood trickled from his lips. For the first time in years, he felt fear. Goku and Gohan charged in, buying him a second to breathe. "We need a plan," Gohan shouted, barely dodging a ki blast that vaporized the terrain behind him. Vegeta spat out blood, his mind racing. Pride had blinded him, he'd thought power alone would win this. But Broly wasn't just an opponent, he was a force of nature. And nature didn't fight fair. Then, Piccolo's voice, grim but steady, reached them. "There's one way. A distraction, long enough for a combined attack. But someone has to hold him." The unspoken weight of those words hung in the air. Someone would have to die. Vegeta's fists clenched. He had always fought for himself, for his pride. But now, as he met Goku's determined gaze, something shifted. "Fine," Vegeta snarled. "I'll do it." Goku's eyes widened. Vegeta. No time, Vegeta roared, launching himself back into the fray. He didn't wait for approval. This wasn't about glory anymore. It was about survival, his family's, his planet's. Broly turned to him, snarling, but Vegeta didn't attack. Instead, he spread his arms wide, taunting. Come on, beast. Let's see what you've got. Broly took the bait, lunging with a howl. Vegeta braced, letting the monster's fists pummel him, his body screaming in protest. But he held firm, locking Broly in place with sheer stubbornness. Now. He choked out. Goku and Gohan didn't hesitate. Their hands glowed, twin Kamemiyas surging forth. Piccolo added his Makanko Sappo, the beams converging into a single, cataclysmic blast. Broly's eyes widened, too late. The energy swallowed him whole, the explosion lighting up the sky. When the smoke cleared, Broly was on his knees, his body smoking, his transformation flickering. But he wasn't dead. And as his head slowly lifted, Vegeta realized with sinking horror, he was smiling. Impossible. Goku breathed. Broly's laughter was guttural, inhuman. His body began to regenerate, his power climbing again. The Z fighters exchanged desperate glances. They had thrown everything at him, and it wasn't enough. As Broly rose, Vegeta's vision swam. He had given his all, and it still hadn't been enough. But then, a voice, soft, but unwavering, cut through the despair. Daddy. Vegeta turned. Trunks stood at the edge of the battlefield, his small frame trembling, but his eyes fierce. Behind him, Bulma held a strange device, her face set with grim determination. We're not done yet, she said. The twist had come. The battle had changed. And now, the real fight began. The air crackled with raw energy as Vegeta stood across from Broly, his golden aura flaring violently. The ground beneath them trembled, fissures spiderwebbing outward from the sheer force of their clashing power. Broly, still in his Super Saiyan form, roared, his muscles bulging as he lunged forward with a devastating haymaker. Vegeta barely sidestepped, feeling the shockwave of the punch tear through the landscape behind him. Pathetic, Vegeta spat, his voice dripping with arrogance, but his eyes burned with focus. He knew Broly was stronger than any opponent he'd faced before, stronger even than Goku at his peak. But that only fueled his fury. Broly retaliated with a rapid barrage of ki blasts, each explosion sending plumes of fire and dust into the air. Vegeta weaved through them, his movements sharp and precise, but one blast clipped his shoulder, sending him skidding back. He grinned through the pain. Is that all you've got? He taunted, wiping blood from his lip. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, he vanished, reappearing behind Broly and driving his elbow into the Saiyan's spine. Broly bellowed in rage, twisting midair to counter with a backhand that sent Vegeta crashing into a mountainside. Rocks shattered as Vegeta pulled himself free, his breath ragged. His muscles ached, but his mind was calculating. He couldn't overpower Broly in raw strength, but he could outthink him. He feinted left, then pivoted right, landing a crushing knee to Broly's ribs. The giant staggered, but his rage only intensified. His aura exploded outward, the sheer force sending Vegeta flying. Before he could recover, Broly was on him again, fists hammering down like meteors. Vegeta blocked desperately, his arms trembling under the onslaught. Then, in a flash of desperation, Vegeta reached deeper. His body burned as he tapped into something primal, something beyond Super Saiyan. Lightning crackled around him, his golden hair spiking higher, his muscles tightening with newfound power. You want power? Vegeta growled, his voice distorted by the surge of energy. I'll show you power. Broly hesitated, sensing the shift. Vegeta didn't give him time to react. In an instant, he was in front of Broly, his fist slamming into the berserker's gut with enough force to lift him off the ground. Broly gasped, his eyes widening as Vegeta followed up with a spinning kick that sent him hurtling through the air. The battlefield became a blur as Vegeta pressed the advantage, his strikes faster, sharper, each blow landing with surgical precision. But Broly wasn't done. With a guttural scream, he caught Vegeta's next punch, his fingers tightening like a vice. Vegeta snarled, trying to break free, but Broly headbutted him, dazing him long enough to grab him by the leg and hurl him into the ground. The earth split open from the impact. Vegeta coughed, blood speckling his lips, but he forced himself up. You're tough, Vegeta admitted, his voice rough. But I won't lose to the likes of you. He clenched his fists, his aura flaring once more. This was it, the moment he'd prove himself. With a final roar, he unleashed everything, his power skyrocketing as he charged forward. Broly met him head on, their fists colliding in a shockwave that shattered the landscape. The fight raged on, neither giving an inch, until Vegeta saw his opening. He feigned exhaustion, letting Broly overcommit. The moment Broly swung, Vegeta ducked, driving his fist upward into Broly's jaw. The impact sent Broly reeling. Before he could recover, Vegeta gathered every ounce of his energy into his palm. Galick! Gun! He bellowed, unleashing a torrent of violet energy that engulfed Broly completely. The explosion lit up the sky, the force of it sending shockwaves for miles. When the smoke cleared, Broly lay motionless. Vegeta panted, his body screaming in protest, but he stood victorious. "TCH. Took you long enough to go down," he muttered. But as he turned to leave, a low growl echoed behind him. His blood ran cold. Broly's fingers twitched. His body began to rise. Vegeta's eyes widened. Impossible. Broly's aura erupted, darker, more savage than before. His muscles swelled, his power dwarfing even Vegeta's ascended form. The battle wasn't over. And now, Vegeta was out of tricks. The battlefield trembled under the force of two titans clashing, Broly's emerald aura flaring wildly as he roared, his muscles bulging with untamed power. Goku, battered and bloodied, skidded across the cracked earth, his Super Saiyan form flickering like a dying flame. "He's too strong," Goku gasped, his fists trembling. Across the wasteland, Vegeta watched, his teeth gritted, pride warring with desperation. Broly lunged, his fist a blur, but this time, Vegeta intercepted with a brutal kick, sending the berserker reeling. "You're not the only one who can evolve, monster," Vegeta snarled, his body crackling with energy. Memories flashed, his failures, his humiliation, the weight of a prince's pride. Then, a surge, a breaking point. Lightning erupted around him, his hair spiking fiercer, his aura exploding into a storm of blue-white electricity. Super Saiyan 2. Broly staggered, sensing the shift, but his rage burned hotter. He charged, fists swinging in a frenzy. Vegeta dodged, countering with a crushing elbow to the spine, then a knee to the gut. Each strike carried years of frustration, of chasing Kakarot's shadow, now unleashed. Broly coughed blood, his green eyes wide. "Impossible!" he growled. Vegeta's voice was ice. "This ends now." He reared back, energy coalescing into a blinding sphere. Final flash. The beam tore through Broly's defenses, engulfing him in a cataclysm of light. The ground split, the sky burned. When the smoke cleared, Broly knelt, his body broken, his power spent. Silence. Then, a whisper. "Why? Fight?" Broly's voice was raw, almost childlike. Vegeta hesitated, seeing not a monster, but a weapon forged by cruelty. Goku limped forward, placing a hand on Broly's shoulder. "It's over," he said softly. The aftermath rippled across the universe. Frieza, observing from the shadows, clenched his fists, his pawn had failed. On Earth, Bulma exhaled, the monitors showing Vegeta's triumph. The Saiyans' rivalry would endure, but something had changed. Vegeta had surpassed his limits, not for glory, but to protect what mattered. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the scarred battlefield, Goku grinned. "Guess I've got some catching up to do." Vegeta scoffed, but there was no malice. For the first time, the future felt unwritten, a new chapter waiting to unfold.